Your grandfather's garage smelled like oil and rust. And on the shelf above his workbench sat a small metal can you never once looked at closely. If that can says Silent Chief across the front, in bold red letters against a cream background, with the Indian head graphic still crisp and the gloss still intact, one collector has valued it at over $4,500. Beginning in the 1930s, American oil companies started selling motor oil in the standard one-quart metal can. The largest producer was American Can Company, with factories across the country. These cans were stacked on gas pump islands, displayed in service station windows, and handed to drivers who popped the top, poured the contents into an engine, and threw the empty can in the trash, thousands of times a day, every day, for decades. Almost all of them were destroyed, emptied, crushed, discarded, melted down for wartime scrap drives, used as folk art, stuffed into walls as insulation. Very few survived in good condition, and among those survivors, a tiny fraction carried the specific graphics, the rare brands, and the near mint condition that make a collector reach for their wallet. This hobby has nothing to do with the oil. The oil was consumed 80 years ago. What remains is the advertising. These cans were hand-lithographed works of American commercial art. Every can was a small billboard, and the oil companies competed fiercely for attention on that 5-inch canvas. They put race cars on the front, airplanes, motorcycles, eagles, parrots, camels, bears holding piston rings, a tiger in mid-roar. The more eye-catching the graphic, the more valuable the can. But it is not just the image, it is condition. Collectors grade this can strictly. To achieve a grade 9 plus, a can must have excellent color, high gloss, and zero wear on the face or the graphic. Any scratches, any dulling, any rust, and the value drops hard. Most surviving cans show wear around the lettering from being handled on gas station racks. Finding one in top condition is rare. Finding a rare brand in top condition is what makes collectors stop breathing. At the entry tier, a bison oil quart with a bison graphic is fairly common, but still sought after. In grade 9 plus condition, valued at around $900. A bear ring quart with a bear holding a piston ring, harder to find in high grade, valued at around $800. An American motor oil quart with a patriotic eagle graphic, very tough to find clean, valued at around $1,000 in top condition. These are not record breakers, but remember what we are talking about. An empty can, designed to be thrown away, worth more than the engine it was poured into. Now, we move into a different tier. Cans that even experienced collectors may only see a few times in their lives. The Power Lube Motor Oil Quart, with the tiger graphic, which came in two slightly different color variations, valued at over $3,000 in top condition. The Skunk Motor Oil Quart, an animal graphic so unusual that the con became iconic, very seldom seen in high grade, valued at over $3,500. The Polymotor Oil Quart with its parrot graphic, one of the most sought after brands in all of Petroliana, which is what this entire hobby is called. Petroliana, gas and oil collectibles. The Polyquart is not especially rare, but demand for it is relentless, and the value keeps climbing. $3,000 and rising. Then there is the Stanavo Quart, a West Coast brand, and one of the hardest to find in any condition. John Mihovets, Director of Acquisitions at Morphy Auctions, the premier petroliana auction house in the country, has seen only 3 examples of this can in his career. 3. Valued at over $3,500. The Camel Pen Quart, a camel graphic on a motor oil can, hard to find in high grade, valued at over $1,750. Every one of these numbers comes from expert valuations published in Automobilia Resource magazine. Every one of these cans is 5 inches tall, smaller than your phone, worth more than a month's rent, and now the top of the pyramid, the Silent Chief Motor Oil Quart. By near universal agreement among collectors, it is one of the most beautiful one-quart cans ever produced. The graphic shows a Native American chief in a full headdress, rendered in rich red and cream tones. The lettering is bold, the composition is striking, and it is extremely difficult to find in high grade. Most surviving examples have visible wear across the motor oil lettering from being handled on service station racks. Mihovets values a Silent Chief Quart in grade 9 plus condition at over $4,500. And in that same article, he wrote that demand for one-quart oil cans has risen steadily for the last decade. The hobby, in his words, is inching close to seeing 5-figure one-quart cans. $10,000 for an empty can, for something designed to be thrown in the garbage the moment it was empty. So where do these cans actually surface? Not in antique malls, usually. The dealers there know what they have. The real finds come from estate sales, farm auctions, and garage sales run by families who have no idea what is on the shelf. The person holding the sale is clearing out a deceased relative's property. They price the oil cans at $1 each because they look like junk. The collector walking in knows within 3 seconds whether any of them matter. That knowledge gap is the entire game. The first thing a serious collector checks is the seam. Early cans from the 1930s and 1940s have a solid side seam, a long gray stripe running vertically down the body. That seam tells you the can predates the era when crimp seams took over. Older construction, earlier graphics, higher potential value. Next, they check the face. Turn the can slowly under light. Any dulling? Any wear across the lettering? Any scratches on the graphic? And the grade drops. A can grading 6 or 7 might sell for $50. The same brand in a 9 plus might sell for 50 times that. Then they check the brand. Big names like Texaco and Mobil are common. The cans collectors want are the regional brands, the defunct independent companies, the ones that only sold oil in 3 states and closed in 1952. Those are the ones nobody saved. Those are the ones that are gone, except for the few that are not. Here is where this stops being about oil cans. Every one of these objects was produced to be destroyed. The oil was the product. The can was just packaging. Nobody thought to save them. Nobody looked at a quart of Silent Chief in 1948 and said, "Keep this, it will matter someday." They opened it, they poured it. They threw the can away, but a few survived anyway. And a few decades later, a small group of people started looking at what everyone else had ignored. They studied the brands, they learned the graphics, they memorized which variations were common, and which had only 3 known examples. And then they went to garage sales and estate auctions and flea markets, and they bought, for pocket change, objects worth thousands of dollars, not because they were lucky, because they paid attention. The gap between what the world ignores and what a handful of obsessed people understand, that gap is worth thousands of dollars on one shelf in one garage. The question is not whether you own a rare oil can. The question is, what else have you been trained to look straight through? So here is the question for you. What is on the shelf above your workbench right now? or your father's workbench, or in that corner of the garage nobody has touched in 20 years? What have you been walking past your whole life without ever really seeing it? Subscribe to Money Fails. Real stories, real mistakes, real lessons. Because the most valuable things in your life are probably the ones you have been ignoring the longest. See you in the next one.